Happy morning, students. Welcome to grade 6 English class. That is, today we are going to practice for our upcoming half-yearly exam. So we are going to that is a recall our 5 units. That is the first 5 units including poem, prose, supplementary, and then 7 grammar portions, and then 8 composition. So listen the video carefully and then do your exam well. Who did Patrick's homework? Who did Patrick's homework is our first prose. This prose, that is this lesson, was written by the author Carl Moore. She was born on July 12, 1871, and she was died on January 20, 1961. She was an American educator, writer, and supporter for children's libraries. She was recognized as a pioneer in the newly emerging specialty of children's literature and had immensely contributed towards the children's library services. This prose children, that is, who did Patrick's homework? The character, the hero of this story is Patrick, a young boy. It depends upon the character Patrick. Now let's recall the story, children. Patrick was, look at the picture, the boy name was Patrick. Patrick was a lazy boy and hated to do his homework. One day, he saw that his cat was playing with a tiny old doll. He snatched it and was amused to find that it was an elf and not a doll. The elf requested him not to return him to the cat and instead granted a wish in return. Patrick asked him to do his homework, to which the elf agreed. The elf couldn't do much and troubled Patrick all the time to help him with the homework, as he found everything unfamiliar. Patrick had to work harder and harder to help the elf finish the homework, and finally the elf was free to go. Patrick got his A's and his classmates, parents and teachers were surprised and praised him. Patrick's own inspiration helped him finish his homework. This is the theme of the story, Who Did Patrick's Homework. First poem is A House, a Home. In this poem, the poet gives us the clarity about a house and a home. This poem, A House and a Home, was written by Lauren Martha Hallam. She was born on April 27, 1921 in USA. She was a multi-talented, lifelong writer. Her work often appeared in national publications. She was also the editor of the district newsletter and worked in the Kennedy Elementary School library. She died on September 7, 2006. Listen, children, this poem, that is A House, a Home, this poem talks about the difference between a house and a home. That is, what is the main difference about a house and a home? A house is made up of bricks, cement, wood, stones, tiles, doors, windows, a roof, etc. Listen, children, these things, that is, the things which are made up of, that is, which are used to made house, are non-living and just materials. That is, the bricks, cement, wood, the stones, tiles, doors, etc. are non-living thing and just material. So the house is made up of with these materials. But look at this home, the word home. A home, on the other hand, is vibrant, loving and a lively place where all the family members share and care and shower their love without any condition. So This poem gives us the clarity about a house and a home. Listen carefully, children. That a house means it is a thing made up of bricks, cement, wood, stones, tiles, doors, windows, roof, etc. And this house is mainly mentioned as a non-living thing and only just materials. House means it is a non-living thing and only just a material. But look at this home. Home is a loving place and a lively place where all the family members share and care and shower their love without any condition. There is nothing, there is no condition at all. The family members can share everything among them. So this is the main concept of this poem, a house and a home. House means a material, it made up of bricks and then cement, wood, etc. It is a non-living thing and just materials. But home, H-O-M-E, home is a loving place where all the family members can share their love without any condition. So this is the main theme of this poem, children, a house and home. How can you identify that is a rhyming word in the poem? Yes. Look at the third line, that is hard, H-A-R-D, hard. Yard, Y-A-R-D, yard. So these two are rhyming words, hard and yard. So the main theme of this poem is about house. What is the difference between a house and a home? House is made up of only materials, but a home is, that is a fully covered with the family members with a love and care without any condition. How the dog found himself a new master. Look at the title, children. How the dog found himself a new master. This is our second prose. This lesson is a folk tale. That is, folk tales are stories passed down through generations, forming part of an oral tradition. So this is the meaning of the word folk tales. Folk tales are stories passed down through generations, forming part of an oral tradition. The main theme of this story, that is about this chapter, how the dog found himself a master. The main character is a dog. We can say as consider as the hero of this story, that is the dog. A dog was unhappy with his way of life and wanted a master who could look after his needs and was the strongest on earth. He chose a wolf, a bear, and a lion as his masters respectively, but finally decided to stay with a man who he found stronger than anyone on earth. To this day, the dog is man's most loyal servant and knows no other master. So here a dog was unhappy with his way of life, that he wanted to search for food, so he was unhappy, and the dog wanted a master. He needs a master for his health, because the master, he thought that the master will be a strong person. So he decided to choose a master. First he selected a wolf, the next a bear, and next a lion. But finally he decided to stay with the man who he found stronger. Compared to the man, nothing is stronger. That is, wolf, bear and lion are not stronger. So he decided to consider the man as his master. To this day, the dog is man's most loyal servant and knows no other master. Our second poem is The Kite. The Kite, the author of this poem, that is The Kite, is Harry Behn. He was born on September 24, 1998, and he was died on September 6, 1973. He was an American screenwriter and children's author. He received his education from Stanford University. Although he produced a number of paintings, he was more famous as a writer than as an artist. The poem The Kite. The kite brightens up in the blue sky. Like a ship, it involves itself in different actions such as diving, snapping, dipping, and soaring with sudden gusts. It pulls, then it takes rest as the wind falls. Then, with the help of a new breeze, it gets a new life and starts going up. But it gets torn or worn out only when it gets stuck to the top of a tree. Look at this line, children. Here, we can identify the figure of speech as simile. How? Look at this word. Soars like a ship. A simile is a figure of speech which compares two unlike things, often using the words like or as. Here, the poet has used the word as like, L-I-K-E, like. The kite soars like a ship. A comparison of two things of the same kind is not a simile. Listen, children, a simile is a figure of speech which compares two unlike things, often using the word. It compares the two unlike things with the help of the words such as like or as. Here the poet used the word as the kite soars like a ship. Here he compares that is he used the word the kite and the ship, and then two unlike things. It compares, the poet compares two unlike things with the help of the word as like. That is he compares the kite and a ship. So here the figure of speech used in this poem is simile. S-I-M-I-L-E, simile. Here the figure of speech used in the poem kite is, that is simile. Now let's recall our third unit, the prose. The name of the story is Taro's Reward. Look at the title, children. Taro's Reward, our third prose. The hero of this story is Taro. Now let's learn that is the chapter Taro's Reward. A young woodcutter named Taro lived with his old parents and wanted to give them everything they needed. One day, Taro's father wished for a cup of sake. Taro felt sad as the sake was a very expensive drink and he did not have enough money to buy it. Next day, Taro worked harder in the forest, chopping wood, which made him thirsty towards the end of the day. Then, suddenly, he heard the sound of a rushing stream. Surprised, he went in the direction and he saw a waterfall. He tasted the water and found it was shake. Not believing, he tasted it again. It was the delicious shake. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had, and upon reaching home, he gave it to his father. The afternoon, a visitor came and Taro offered shake to her and narrated the whole incident. In the evening, more visitors came and drank the shake. Next morning, Taro reached the forest only to find all villagers there trying to fill their vessels, but no shake. Only it is a cold water. The villagers got angry and wanted to beat Taro but he saved himself. After they left, he tasted the water once again. It was the same shake. This story reached the emperor, who rewarded Taro for being a dutiful son. This, said the emperor, was to encourage all children who honored and obeyed their parents. The Quarrel. The Quarrel is our third poem. This poem was written by Eleanor Fortune. She was born on 13th February 1881 and she was died on June 5th, 1965. She was an English author of children's stories and plays, poetry, biography, etc. She won many literary awards. The poem talks about how brothers and sisters fight with each other, often about petty issues, and sometimes they are not even sure about the reason behind the fight. Here, the poet quarreled with her brother, and the two started to hate each other. Then the brother took the path up and said he was wrong, and thus he ended it by doing the right thing. The next, our fourth process, an Indian American woman in space, Kalpana Chawla. Listen, children. Kalpana Chawla was born in Karnal, Haryana, but became a naturalized US citizen. After a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering, she went on to do her master's and then PhD in the same stream. She was the first Indian American woman astronaut to blast off from the launch pad at Canaveral, Florida. Besides being an astronaut, she was a certified flight instructor. Her first space mission was in the Space Shuttle Columbia, which also had other crew members, a Japanese and a Ukrainian astronaut. They performed various experiments such as pollinating plants to observe food growth in space, etc. But the Saturday night of February 1, 2003 brought the tragic news of the Columbia disaster. Columbia broke into flames as it was coming in for landing, killing all the 7 members, including Kalpana Chawla, on board. For millions of young Indians, Kalpana, a small town girl who touched the circus, remains an inspiration for all times to come. Our fourth poem is Beauty. The poet of this poem is E. O. Shray. He was born on September 9, 1926 and he was died on July 21st, 2014. He was a writer, a poet and an educator. Listen, children, the poem describes about beauty is and where we find it. It says that beauty lies in the objects of nature, sunlight, trees, birds and rains, etc. All good things, noble deeds and all that please one is beautiful. So here the poet describes about the beauty, that what beauty is and where we can find it. We can find the beauty in the objects of nature, sunlight, trees, birds and rains, etc. This is the main concept of the poem Beauty. The next, our fifth process, a different kind of school. This chapter, the narrator, this is a story, children, listen carefully, we can recall it. The narrator went to visit Miss Beam's school, about which he had heard a lot. There he met Miss Beam too, who was all that he had expected her to be, middle-aged, full of authority, yet kindly and understanding. He asked her some questions about her teaching methods, which he had heard were simple. Miss Beam explained to the narrator that the children there were taught only as much as was needed to help them to learn how to do things. The real aim of school was not so much to teach thought as to teach thoughtfulness, kindness to others, and being responsible citizens. Miss Beam then asked the narrator to look out of the window at the playground. He was pained to see the jolly children, but not healthy and active looking. He commented that when he had come, he had seen a poor little girl being led about as she had a bandage over her eyes, and another girl with crutches who seemed to be a helpless cripple. Miss Beam burst into a laughter and explained that the crippled girl was not lame, but it was her lame day. The other girl had a blind day. It was an important part of their system. She went on to explain that to make the children understand and appreciate the difficulties of the blind, etc. She made them share in the misfortune. Miss Beam then took the narrator to a bandaged girl who he led for a walk. He asked her questions while describing the surroundings things to her, which she replied very well. As they walked, the narrator discovered that he had become 10 times more thoughtful than he ever thought he could be. When he was leaving, he told Miss Beam that he felt sorry to leave her school. She was delighted to realize that her system of teaching was effective. Next, where do all the teachers go? It's our fifth poem. Here, the poet is curious to know where the teachers go once the school gets over. He wonders whether the teachers also do all the normal things as others do. Whether they wear pajamas, watch TV, pick their noses, etc. He wants to know if the teachers also live in homes and have parents. He imagines when teachers were children themselves, they too must have made mistakes, behaved badly, and hence must have been punished. For the poet, as a child, teachers are perfect as he has always seen them as teachers, well behaved, strict, and neat. It's very hard for him to imagine the teachers too do the same things as others. He decides to write a poem as one of the teachers by following him or her on the way back home to find out what he or she does. Then the poet would put it in altogether as a poem which the teachers would read to their students. This first supplementary, children, a tale of two birds. Tale means it's a story, a tale of two birds. Listen carefully the story, children. You can recall it. This story is all about a mother bird and her two newborn birds. The mother died in a storm and the sons got separated from each other in the thunderstorm. Due to the strong wind, the tall tree they lived on also fell and they were blown away to the other side of the forest. One of them reached near a gang of robbers and the other one landed near the Rishi's ashram. One day, a king got exhausted while following a deer. He came and sat under the tree near the cave of robbers. There, the king heard a big brown bird's voice. It was calling the robbers to rob the king. The king hurriedly got up from there and rode away. He reached near the Rishi's ashram. Here again he heard the bird's voice, but it was a complete contrast to what he heard earlier. This bird asked the king to take rest inside the ashram and wait for the Rishi to come. The king was amazed to see the similar appearance of the birds, but this voice was too gentle. The bird told the king that his brother had learned that language from the robbers. When the Rishi came, the king shared the story of the birds with him. The Rishi smiled and said that it was the impact of the company that was being reflected on the behavior of the birds. The bird was not at fault. He was just repeating what he had heard, and the forest was full of varied surprises. Our second supplementary is The Friendly Mongoose. Listen, children, this story talks about the human tendency to jump to conclusion hurriedly and how this tendency disrupts and causes disturbance in the system. Listen, children, in the beginning of this chapter, a farmer who used to live in a village with his wife and a newborn child has been introduced. Once the farmer told his wife that he wished to have a pet as a companion for his son. His wife also gave a nod to this, and the farmer brought a baby mongoose with him the next day. One day, leaving their son and the mongoose along in the house, the farmer's wife went to the market to buy some groceries. At the time, the farmer was also in the field. When the farmer's wife came back home, she saw the mouth and paws of the mongoose smeared with blood. She thought that it had killed their baby. So, she killed the mongoose by hitting it with a basket full of groceries. Afterwards, she realized that her baby was fast asleep and a black snake was lying dead. She understood that the mongoose had killed the snake and saved her son. She repented her action, but it was too late. Then the shepherd's treasure is also a story. This story throws light upon the importance of human values like honesty, wisdom, and humanity. How by following such high values and principles, a shepherd became a gardener. Now listen carefully, children. Listen to the story. A poor shepherd once lived in a village in Iran. He was uneducated but was very wise and helpful. He became very popular of his helping nature and words of wisdom. His popularity reached the king, and the king decided to meet him in disguise. During his meeting, the king found that the shepherd was really wise, warm, and caring. Impressed by his humanity, the king made him governor of a small district. Soon the shepherd won people's hearts with his wisdom. Governors of other districts started feeling jealous of him and spread rumors about him. They reported that he used to keep a part of the tax collected into an iron chest. Bothered by the varied commands, one day the king called the shepherd to his place and asked him to open his iron chest. After opening the chest, they found nothing but an old blanket. The shepherd told the king that it was his only money and best companion. Realizing the shepherd's wisdom, kindness, and humanity, the king appointed him the governor of a bigger district. The old clock shop. This is our fourth supplementary, children. This story, that is this lesson, expresses how honest and correct ways can win over any situation. With these ways, even robbers can be tackled rightly. The way Mr. Ray is the hero of the story, children. The way Mr. Ray not only protected himself but showed the right path to the robbers as well. It conveys the message of peace and good for all. Now let's enter into the story, children. Listen carefully. It was Christmas Eve and was closing time for shops. An old clock shop owner, Mr. Ray, was still working on a clock. Two men on his 20s, that is, one man in 20s and another one in 50s, entered Ray's shop. Ray gave them a notepad and a pencil, telling them that he was deaf and dumb, through his sign language. Ray noticed that the man had a gun in his pocket. He thought that he had come to his shop to rob him. Understanding their need of money, Ray told the old man that he exchanged a good sum of money with people against their watches or wall clocks. He did this for goodwill and not in want of earning interest or security against the things. The old man showed his old wristwatch to Ray, and Ray in return offered him a $50 note. Both of them knew in their hearts that the watch was not of that high a price, but this made the man happy as he got money without hurting Ray, and Ray also escaped from being hurt. Before leaving, the old man wrote to Ray that he would be back soon to get his watch. The story concluded peacefully, giving a sweet and simple message of peace on earth and goodwill towards all. Tanzan is our fifth supplementary, children. This lesson is the story of famous Indian musician Tanzan. It talks about the importance of complete information and the wisdom of finding solutions. How Tanzan, with his deep knowledge of music and wisdom to apply that knowledge, was able to save himself. Now let's see the explanation of the story, children. Listen carefully. This is the story of the famous Indian musician named Tanzan. He was the only child of singer Mohandan Mishra. They lived in the village Bahad. Tanzan was a naughty but wise and talented child. One day in the forest, Swami Haridas found Tanzan roaring like a tiger. Then Tanzan started learning music from him. He learned music for 11 years and became a great singer afterwards. His father's last wish was to send Tanzan to Muhammad Ghaz of Gwalior. There, Tanzan got married to Husaini. Soon after, Tanzan became a famous musician. He became the official singer in Emperor Akbar's court. Being a favorite of Akbar, he was a victim of jealousy of the few courtiers. Courtiers even planned to kill Tanzan. A courtier in the Akbar's court requested Akbar to make Tanzan sing Raga Deepak. Tanzan knew that a Raga Deepak could produce heat around the singer and turn him to ashes, and Rahamak could bring rain. So he prepared his daughter Saraswati and had fled Drupadi to sing Rahamak in the court. The girls sang Rahamak when fire spread out near Tanzan, and lamps were lighted as per the plan. Tanzan's life was saved when drops of rain fell down on him. After this incident, Tanzan became sick. Akbar punished the courtiers. Tanzan finally recovered from his illness, and people rejoiced and celebrated his recovery. Let's learn our grammar portion. The first one is, that is, articles means articles are words that define a noun as specific or unspecific. And articles we can point out as a definite article and an indefinite article. A and then an are known as indefinite article, and the word the is definite article. Here, that is indefinite article, a and an are used to refer to a noun. For the first time, they are called indefinite noun. That is indefinite articles. And then definite article, that is the word is the article the specifies the noun. It is used when the noun referred to has already been mentioned. The is the definite article. We use a before a singular noun, children, beginning with a consonant sound. It begin with a consonant sound. Before that, for a singular noun, you have to use the article as a cup, a hat. We use a when we talk about a person, a place, an animal, or a thing for the first time. Sound, but the vowel sound has the sound of a consonant also. Look at the word uniform. So what is the sound here? The words begin with the vowel, but the sound is the consonant. U is the vowel, but what is the sound here? Consonant. To produce the consonant sound, you have to mention the article as a uniform, a university. Should not mention as an uniform or an university is wrong, children. So you have to point out as a uniform or a university. So keep these rules in your mind. Use and before a singular noun for both a and the articles you can use for a singular noun beginning with a vowel sound. For the letter that is the article A, you can use the beginning of the sound is the consonant. But here for the vowel sound you can use the article as an or me, an, all, on, umbrella. See that sound is there, a vowel sound. If it is produced the vowel sound all, umbrella, or me, sound is there. Vowel sound, if it is a vowel sound, we can write the article as an. Use the when we talk about a particular person, when we are pointing out somebody else, particular person, place, animal or thing, we can use the article as the. Give me the small green pencil. We are point out the small green pencil. So here we have used the article as the. Use the article the for such as rivers, seas, ocean, mountain ranges, and for example you can say is a group of islands, famous buildings, holy books, names of newspaper, titles, and the natural objects that are one kind, and the names of trains and ships, and then before superlatives also, the eldest son, the youngest. So you have to point out as the superlatives. Before superlatives we can point out the article as the. And pronouns, that is noun means it is a name of, it is a part of speech that identifies a person, place, animal or a thing. Noun you can say as a naming word, and the types of nouns are common noun, proper noun, collective noun, abstract noun, and material noun. Common noun is the general name given to a common name. Common noun means that is a common name given to a person, place, animal or a thing. Look at the example. We can call generally as a boy, school, monkey, likewise the example is given. If you point out the name for the boy, then it will become a proper noun. It won't be a common noun. Common noun means it is the general name given to a person. And then for the proper noun means it's a specific or particular name. When you point out a particular name, then it can be say as a proper noun given to a person, place, animal or a thing. When you give a particular name, so look at the example Sachin. Instead of boy, what have mentioned? Sachin. It is the name of a boy. So this is the proper name. Instead of that is a place, here it is specified as Namakkal. So this is a proper noun. That refers to the group of people. Collective means the name itself we can identify children that it is a group of people or animals or things. Collective noun, that is a group of things, that is a group of people, animal, or it may be things. Noun, children, a crowd of people, a bundle of sticks. So this is the collective noun. Collective noun refers to the group of people. Group, it point out the word as group. The next is the abstract noun. Abstract noun means that is abstract nouns do not name any person, place, animal or thing. It doesn't point out any name, but here they name qualities. They name about the qualities, relationship, feelings and ideas which we think or which we feel. It is only about our feelings. That is known as abstract noun. Look at the example. For truth, joy, freedom, we can just feel. We can't look at this. There is no name for this. Just we can feel this. So this is known as abstract noun. That is material noun means that is a noun refers to the material or substance from which things are made. Material noun means from which things are made. That's known as material noun. For example, you can say is gold and then wood. With the help of the wood, we can make so many furniture things. So this is known as material noun. And then what about pronoun, children? There is a pronoun means a word that is used in the place of a noun. Instead of noun, we can replace as the pronoun. Look at this example, children. Priya has a dog. She takes it for a walk daily. Instead of Priya in the first sentence, the noun that is mentioned as Priya is the noun, is the name of a girl. But in the second sentence, instead of Priya, we have pointed out as a pronoun. What is the pronoun here? She. She is the pronoun. Instead of Priya, here we have pointed as she. She takes it for a walk daily. Instead of dog, the second sentence we have mentioned as it. It for dog and she for Priya. So pronoun means is a word that is used in place of a noun. It can replace the noun. That is conjunction as a joining word. It joins words, that is a group of words or sentence. It can be used to join a group of words in a sentence. Look at this, some few conjunction words, that is and, but, or, so, for, nor, yet, because, although, while, after, before, that. Likewise, we can point out the conjunction words. And there are three kinds of conjunctions. One is the first one is the coordinating conjunction, second one is the subordinating conjunction, and third one is the correlative conjunction. The first coordinating conjunction means, that is coordinating conjunction join words, phrases or clauses of similar grammatical structure of equal importance. For equal importance of words, we can use the conjunction as coordinating conjunctions. What are the coordinating conjunctions, children? For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. These are the coordinating conjunctions. In a short form, we can keep in mind as fanboys. Look at it in the bracket. I have mentioned as the fanboys. Fanboys. It is mentioned as a fanboys. F for, and then A and N for nor, but B, O for or, Y for yet, so for yes. So fanboys. Coordinating conjunction means, that is fanboys. Subordinating conjunction means, that is a subordinating conjunction or the words which join the dependent. It joins the dependent class. That is a dependent and subordinate class is the independent or main class. It joins with the dependent. That is that, after, before, it, whether. These are the few examples we can use as a subordinating conjunction, which that is indicates the time and the place, reason. For this we can point out the subordinating conjunction. Correlative conjunctions are used in pairs. It is known as the correlative conjunction, children. Look at the examples. Both to and then either, or, though, yet. These are known as correlative conjunctions, children. So correlative conjunctions means conjunctions that are used in pairs are called correlative conjunctions. Means adjectives are words that describe or modify other words. It can describes about the noun or a pronoun in a sentence. That is, adjective means it describes a noun or pronoun in a sentence. It gives more information, that is additional information about an object, size or shape, age, color, origin or material. That is known as adjectives. To compare one person or thing with another. There are 3 degrees of comparison, children. The first one is the positive. Is used when there is no comparison or the person when things being compared are equal. When it gives equal in degree, that is known as positive degree. Earth moves fast around the sun. It gives a general information, that is known as positive degree. There is no comparison. But here in the comparative degree, it is used to compare when 2 person or things being compared for a particular quality. Comparative degree means both that is the 2 things are compared. Venus moves faster than Earth around the sun. So here 2 things are compared. When we compare 2 things, that is known as comparative degree. Superlative degree, when we compare 3 or more nouns and want to express the highest degree of the some quality in a person or thing among others in the group. It compares, that is more than one. It is the best. So for the example, you can use the best. This is known as superlative degree. It is used when we compare 3 or more nouns. So the chapter is preposition, children. Preposition means it is used with a noun or a pronoun and connects it with the other words in a sentence. It connects other words in a sentence. Look at this example. I stood behind Beta. So it connects with the other words in a sentence. For that, you can use the preposition word. And there are 3 types of preposition, children. One is the preposition of place, and then movement and time. Preposition of place means it tells us where someone or something is. That is known as preposition of place. And then preposition of movement means it tells us about the movement of someone or something. And then next, third one, that is the preposition of time. It helps us to talk about time. So see the difference between this. That is a place means it tells us where someone. Look at the word where someone or something is. And then for the movement, it tells us about the movement of someone or same thing. And then for preposition of time, it helps us to talk about a particular time. That is a sentence means a group of words that makes a complete sense. It always begins with a capital letter and ends with the punctuation mark. So it must begin with the capital letter and it must can be end with the full stop, or it may be a question mark, or it may be an exclamatory mark. There are 4 types of sentences, children. The first one is a declarative, or you can say as assertive sentence. Second one interrogative. Third one imperative. Fourth one is the exclamatory. First, the declarative means a sentence that states something. It declares something and it ends with a full stop. That is declarative, general thing. That is a statement. And the second one, interrogative means the word interrogative says is the question. It asks about a question. It ends with the question mark. Can you begin with the question words such as who, what, where, why, which, how, is, or, has, have, likewise question word. And then imperative sentence means it gives a comment or an advice or makes an request. It ends with the also full stop. Both declarative and imperative ends with a full stop. And then finally the fourth one is the exclamatory. A sentence that expresses a sudden and strong feelings such as happiness, sadness, wonder, pity, surprise or thankfulness. For that purpose, you can use this as an exclamatory sentence and it end with an exclamatory symbol. And then our 7th chapter is tenses. That is tenses means it gives us the time of an action. It refers to the time of an action. The tense of a verb in a sentence expresses an action. It gives importance for an action, and the time takes the time takes place to complete an action, or whether it is completed or it is in progress. So that is tenses. Tenses are classified into 3 kinds. That is the past tense, present tense, and then future. And then consist of each one carries the 4 types. One is the simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous, and in the present type, that is the simple present, present continuous, present perfect continuous, and for the future the same thing, simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and then future perfect continuous. In our chapter we are going to learn only about the simple tense. So that simple past, simple present, and then about simple future. Simple past means an action that ended at a point in the past. An action has completed. An action ended at a point in the past. That is known as simple past. Look at the example. I ate cake. They ate. Look at the verb here used as the past form. ate, ate. I ate cake. So this is the simple past. And then next one is the simple present. On the simple present, an action that exists is usual or it is repeated. The action is usual or it may be repeated. So that is known as simple present. I eat cake. He eats cake. So it is an action which is repeated. So that is known as simple present tense. The third type is the simple future. That is a plan for future action. That is known as simple future. A plan for an future action. So look at the example. I shall eat cake. He will eat cake. They will eat cake. Will. The word will and shall represents the future tense. That is a simple future. A plan for future action. You can identify the help of words as shall or will to represent as a future tense. The first we can learn about the formal writing. That is a formal letter. The formal letter, we can write a letter to a official person, that is a higher authorities, to a class teacher, principal. Likewise, for third persons, we can mention the letter as a formal letter. For an official purpose, we can write a letter that is known as formal letter. For the formal letter, you have to mention the sender's address, the left side. Listen how we have written in our composition notebook. The same way, children. In the left side, you have to first mention your address, and then by the next to the receiver address to whom you are writing this letter. That person's address you have to mention with the comma. Begin the first letter as capital letter, and then that is for the name and for the place, everything you have to write only with the capital letter. Put comma wherever necessary, and then subject is very important. With the help of subject, we can in a short form we can understand about the complete letter. So subject is very important. Subject you have to mention according to your question, children. And then the next you can mention is the respected ma'am or sir, put comma, and then for the body of the letter it carries marks, children, so write it well. So concentrate and then give more importance for this. So after completing the body of the letter, and then you can mention this thanking you, yours faithfully. Instead of yours faithfully, you can mention as your obediently or your truly. Likewise, you can mention for higher officials, for that is for a formal letter, definitely you have to mention as thanking you, and then yours faithfully or yours sincerely, and finally you can mention your signature. Letter, children, that is an informal letter. We can write a letter to it is not an official, it is a personal letter. You can mention a letter, that is how you can write a letter to your parents, relatives, and then brothers, sisters. For that letter you can name as an informal letter. For the informal letter, no need to write as the from address, that is a sender's address, and that is a receiver's address. Just you can mention your address at the top and then the left side, and then instead of respected you can mention as a dear friend, or what is specified in the question, according to that you can mention a dear Sanjeev, comma, and then you can give importance for the body of the letter, children. After completing the body of the letter, and then you can mention as yours affectionately, likewise, or yours lovingly. You can mention like this, and finally you can mention here, you can sign here for this, for that is an informal letter, no need to mention as thanking you. So this is an casual letter, that is a informal letter we are writing for a personal purpose. The third one is the notice writing, children. This notice writing, you have to give some information to others in the school or in some other places. For that purpose we can mention as the notice writing. We can share some other information, we have to gather some information from others. For that purpose we can write as the notice writing. For the notice writing, you have to write in a box, draw the box, and then mention the title inside. Mention the title in the capital letter, and then write according to the concept. It must be a short form, it should not be a lengthy. In a short and sweet you have to write it, and you have to give the message everything in the notice, that is a time, date, and place when the event is going to take place, and where, everything you have to mention in the notice. Draw with the box, and finally you can mention your name as a signature in the below. So draw the box is very necessary, children. So likewise you have to practice this notice writing. The fourth one is the report writing, children. For this report writing, you need not to mention as the from address or to address, just as a report. What is the concept here? You are pointing out as like a report. So first mention the title, children, and then next that is a from where the place you can, and then date you have to mention, and give more importance for the concept. What is the concept? What is the report you are going to write it? According to the question, you have to frame the sentence on your own, and then you have to frame as a reporter. Don't write it simply as a letter writing. It must be like a report writing. So after completing it, you do not to mention your name here, just draw the lines, it's enough. Report writing is very important, children. So concentrate on the report writing. Practice this with the help of your composition notebook. Our fifth composition is diary entry, children. Diary entry is a casual way we can write it. So first you have to mention the time, date, and the day. These three things is very important. You have to mention the address in this diary. Just diary, it is your diary. So you can mention only this to identify when you have written this letter, this concept. So for that purpose, we can mention the time, date, and then place. So the next we can mention here as dear diary or just simply diary, put comma, and what has the event has taken place in that date. You can mention everything like a paragraph in a short and sweet, we can mention it. So give importance for this body, that is a diary entry. After completing this, and then by finally you can mention your signature here. So this is the procedure for writing the diary entry. And then sixth one is the article writing. With the help of this article writing, it's just like an example, you can say as an essay, how you will prepare like an essay. The same way you can write, consider this as an article writing. According to the concept, what is the concept given in a question? For that concept, you have to prepare the theme about that, and you have to write as an article. Composition is the postcard writing, children. For the postcard writing, you have to draw the box like this square box. We can draw, and then this is the front page. For the front page you can mention the date and place, and then this is an personal only, so you can mention your, that is a dear mom or dad, what is given according to the question you have to point out there, and then you can write the concept here, that is what is the body of the letter, we can mention in the front page, and after completing the front and then turn the next, that is draw the next box, the divided into two half. The first half you can continue the procedure what you have written in the first page, you can continue here and end with your loving daughter likewise. And then this side you can mention the address to the, that is a send receiver's address, to whom you are posting this letter, that person's address you have to mention here, including with the pin code number. Our eighth composition is email writing, children. For this email writing, how to mention the from, to, and then subject. These three things are very important, children. From means that is your mail ID you have to mention. For the mail ID you can use only caps letter, that is a small letters, no need to use caps letter. So mention the your that is a your mail ID. The next line, to whom you are posting this mail, that particular person's mail ID you can point out there. And the next subject is very important, children. Without subject you should not send the email. So subject in a short form you can point out the subject, and then you can mention as the respected sir, comma, and what is the content about the mail in a short form. You need not to write in a lengthy way. In a short form we can write as the mail. After completing it, keep full stop and then mention as thanks, regards, and then your signature. This is the procedure for writing an email. Children, learn the up to 5 units. We have practiced that the 5 units poem, prose, supplementary, what is the concept and what are the characters in it, what is the story, fully everything we have learned, that is we have recalled. And then next we have practiced about them about 7 grammar, what we have that is which we have written in our classwork notebooks. And then we have practiced the 8 composition. So go through the composition thoroughly, and then grammar, and then question answer, textual question answer, everything practice well and do your exam well. Thank you.